Ding dong, the Gary's dead. Or is he? What's good, y'all? It's your good sister Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another Sistas video. And in this one, we are going to talk about, is Gary actually dead? If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn your bell notifications so you don't miss out on any of my sisters' content and conversations. And if you're not new, welcome back. Boom. You know how we do. And I definitely had to explore this question because it's not fully clear. We get to see a slain Gary Borders in the back room at what's supposed to be him and Andi's wedding. The second time was supposed to be a charm child, but clearly they're just as unlucky in love this time as they were the first. And when you look at the placement of the knife, it doesn't feel like it's directly in front in his heart. It feels like it's up on like his left shoulder. And that is not necessarily a place where you stab somebody and they actually die immediately. They might bleed out for an extended period of time, but it's not necessarily a thing that you would think of as like a kill stab or a kill shot. And this, amongst other things, begs the question of if we're actually seeing this be the end of Gary's character, or are we going to come back in season 8 and see a Gary that's in a coma, see a Gary that is in the hospital, see a Gary that is recuperating from a very serious injury, but definitely not dead. And then I'm also starting to see people have conversations about, is Gary faking his death, which would also make a lot of sense to me given all of the trouble that he is finding himself in. The FBI is currently on him and they have recruited Andi, they got Penelope and whoever else to testify against him to be able to hold him accountable for his financial crimes within his business. He let us know that he has ties to a Mexican cartel and he put some of their money into Jordan's campaign, and if he is losing money left and right and not bringing them a return on investment, then they could be looking for him as well, and he don't want the cartel to catch up with him. And then maybe he is realizing he's at his end of his rope. We have watched Gary devolve so swiftly in season 7, way more swiftly than we've seen over the course of 6 seasons with him, by way of like nature, disposition, mindset. He has seemingly gotten extra crazy extra quickly, and I could totally see that being the mindset of a person who is also trying to hit the Control Alt Delete and reset. And if he fakes his death, then he could come back as a new man. Like if he fakes his death and goes into a coma, then when he comes out, he can pretend amnesia and act like he had no idea and be just a better man because he knows that he's diabolical, y'all. At this point, we all know, and Gary Border knows, that he is diabolical and undignified, okay? And I think that this is something to be explored. I've had some conversations, a little bit of internal information around Gary meeting his demise by the end of this season. And shout out to the person who shared some of the information with me. I appreciate you, boo. So I've known from the very beginning of the season that we were going to get here, but now that we're on the cliffhanger and we're going into season 8, I don't necessarily have any insider information. And while, you know, they could have planned to have Gary die and exit the series, because we saw most of the original men exit the series aside from Aaron making a return in this season, that could make sense. I think that in prepping and seeing the results, even though they filmed season 8 prior to, I think, the premiere of season 7, seeing the response, or maybe anticipating the response of like how great and bad, y'all. So like, be clear, Gary is a diabolical character. I don't actually like the character. He deserves to die. He has definitely earned his death. But the way that Chido plays Gary Borders and the energy that he brings with this particular character, it has been a welcome sight on screen, specifically in a season which has felt very chaotic for the characters, while Tyler has handed over the reins to a writer's room. So now the characters are in different hands with different agendas, and it has been a little bit startling in some instances as an audience member, because I do feel like sometimes the writers have gone on their own agendas and decided to do what they wanted to do with the characters and not necessarily lined up with the characters of their backstory and who we have known them to be. And Gary, I think, has been an escalating, devolving, constant engaging piece. So to have him leave season 7 and be dead would cut off something that is actually working. Now they do need to figure out how to rework the Gary character if he's coming back to season 8, and that he cannot just continue to do the things that he has been doing, but having Chido as a part of this cast and particularly reprising the role of Gary, it could be beneficial to season 8 as we still are like basically getting acclimated to these writers and what they plan to do with these characters, if that makes sense, on a whole like behind the scenes tip. Now, do I believe that he's actually dead? With more and more time passing, I don't. And I hate that because I kind of wanted it to be him to be dead. I wanted this to be the end of the Gary Borders chapter. I wanted Andi to be free of this so that we could see what Andi is like outside of the influence and the pressure and the fear of a toxic ass man that she engaged with romantically for a time and then finally was able to separate from. I want to see how the dynamics of the girls' friendship shifts when they don't have to worry about Andi being with an abusive man, because at this point this is the second, if not third, fourth or fifth, because we don't know all of that, but this is definitely the second time the girls have had to engage with Andi in a way where she is entertaining or caught up in some drama with an abusive man. So with Gary, you know, with Gary's demise comes like a rebirth and an opening for the characters to go in a different place, uninfluenced by the trauma or the cyclical trauma that Andi seems to be experiencing. And I actually really do want that for her. I, again, don't think that going into another season and having Gary just come back to continue to torment Andi is actually doing much of anything for her character or his. This season has given Chido, like I said, the guy who plays Gary, a ton of space and opportunity to play beautifully within the character. But I think that this season has exasperated all of that. He has gone to new lows sexually. He's gone to new lows with violence. He's gone to new lows with scheming. Like, there is pretty much nothing else for him to do unless he starts killing people himself. Like, he becomes a serial killer randomly and he's not going into the office anymore. And I don't see them actually doing that. So I 100% hope that Gary was dead. Not because I want Chido to be out of a job, just because I feel like the character has run its course and he has done his job. However, again, the more I think about it, the more I think that they could be going the route of Gary faking his own death. They could be going the route of him actually going into a coma and making it, even if he didn't fake his death. Him being cocky and not thinking that anybody could touch him could have gotten him touched. And I do have a video talking about who killed Gary, so go into that video if you want to explore all of the different scenarios of who basically delivered this fatal quote unquote stab wound. I got you. I definitely want to explore that, but I'm going to do that in that video. And that all just really could be the case. At this point, we're all still speculating. We're in between season 7 and season 8. I do anticipate season 8 to be hitting our screens before the end of the year, probably once we get into holiday time. I will definitely keep you posted on any season 8 news as it arrives. I do have a couple of insights on new characters, which I will be talking about very, very soon. So subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on my daily Sistas content, conversations. And if you have any thoughts on this, drop that in the comment section down below. It's your good sis you love to talk TV with, and I'm gonna see you in the next one.